All right, no time for messing around this week. Welcome back to Phillips Hot Rod Garage. In the last video, we got us a laser line shot down through the car. We got the car perfectly squared. We took a lot of measurements. We know we're ready to start installing the Steadfast Manufacturing curved rear subrail kit. Now this kit, if you're just joining us, this is designed to put a 28 to 31 Model A body onto a 32 frame. So we're just going to try to get these rails to fit into this coupe body. No messing around, let's just get started. All right, so the plan is we got to flatten the end of this out. It's got to be kicked up at the end here so it'll sit flat against this rear cross member. It's kind of coming in at an angle now, so we got to work on that a little bit. We've also got to cut the subrail off at a curve here so that the subrail will tuck in behind the quarter. That has to be done. And we've also got to cut the subrails off at the front to the right length so they'll sit down in their correct location. It's going to take some measuring, it's going to take some figuring, a little bit of head scratching, but we're going to get it. All right, so I might as well get started by going ahead and making a pattern of this area and trying to get this subrail curved right here to fit down inside there. All right, this old piece of poster board here ought to work for me. All right. Mark the outside. I'm gonna cut along the mark I mark on the inside, but I'm gonna just mark the outside anyway. Mark the inside. All right, that ought to get it. All right, get it cut out. All right, let's see how good that's going to work. Looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and cut the subrail. All right, we got to get this thing marked. All right, so I got to cut this off right here and probably right down through here. I'll cut that section out. Then I'm going to cut this off right here at this curve and cut right up through here, right down through there. Then I've also got to cut the bottom right down here to fit too. So I might as well go ahead and mark it while I'm going. Is that going to be right? No, that's backwards. It's got to go this way. This way. All right, so I have a plan. Walk it across here like this. And then transfer it over to here like this. And that's going to be hard to get right. I think I'll just cut this side first and then just cut straight down into the other side. That ought to get it. All right, it's time to do some cutting. Yeah, that's got to go all the way through the other side. So to move this. All right, finish cutting that line. Got that cut through. Now cutting this curve is going to be a little difficult, so I'll probably just go ahead and cut this lip off so I can get to it a little easier. Let me do that. All right, that looks just right. So now all I have to do is transfer that same cut to the other side and I'll have it made. All right, so the cutoff wheel I just used is one that Brian from up in Delaware sent me. Appreciate it again, Brian. Thank you so much. I'm gonna change over now from a Harbor Freight flapper wheel that I have on another grinder. I'm gonna change it over to one of these discs that Brian sent. And we're gonna get to grinding. Get it done. All right. One thing I can say about that grinding disc is a lot more aggressive than those Harbor Freight discs. Those things just grind and grind and grind and never take any metal off. That thing takes it off quick. So you got to really watch out with a grinding disc like that on this sheet metal because you'll take off too much quickly. All right, got to flip it over, grind a little bit more from a different angle. Then we got to test fit this thing, see how it's going to work. All right, that's about as good as I'm gonna be able to get it for now. I don't want to get too crazy with it, getting it all dressed up, because it may not even fit. So let's try it and see how it's gonna look. Well, this looks like it's going to work. Looks like it is. Maybe it'll go on back in there. Yeah, that looks good. All right, so I got it tucked back in there about as far as I can get it. That looks pretty good. Now it's time to get up there to the front and see if I can get that to fit up there. Where I'm running into trouble is right here. This part of the subrail here is normally, in the pictures I've seen, lined up with this part right here, which puts this piece being pretty close to lined up with this right here. But as you can see, it's got a pretty good distance that it has to go that direction before that's going to work. But if you look down inside here, you can see down in here that I could go that far out with it. But if you look back there at my wheel well, let's see if I can get it where you can see it good. See right there at my wheel well, I'm about the thickness of the head of that bolt from being up against my wheel well. So by the time I get this to go over to touch the wheel well right there, there's not going to be, that's not going to be enough to get this to line up with this. There's no way I'm going to get this to go over far enough to line up with that when it's already against the wheel well back there. That's just not going to work. All right, it's time to do some grinding. I'm fixing to grind the head of this bolt off that's holding this subrail from going up against that wheel well. Well, that's making a lot of racket. Now, I don't really know how it's attached. It might be welded, I don't know. I'm just going to try to pull it out like this before I start grinding on it. Maybe it'll just come out. No, it's welded. It's not going to come out, so I don't have a choice. I'll have to grind it off from the inside. All right, so I just used a cutoff wheel to cut the head off the bolt. Now I'm going to take a grinding disc here and try to grind off what's left. about got it. All right. Whew. That was tough, but I got it. Now I'm breathing hard. Whew. All right, so let's put this thing back in. See how much better it fits. All right, let's go up to the front and take a look. All right, I think I'll stick some of these clamps on here. See if I can pull the subrail up to the wheel well. Not looking too good. Clamp it a little bit different. All right, now that looks pretty good. Get another pair of clamps. All right, let's take a look at that. So here's what I got. It's up against the wheel well here, all the way down until it gets right into that area right there. And we'll go up front and show you what's going on there. All right, so Model A's do not have flat wheel wells. There's a hump in it right here. I'll show you from the outside. I know it's hard to see, but this is what I'm talking about right here. There's a hump in it right there. All right, so it's not just flat all the way down. So that hump in it here is holding the subrail from going out against the wheel well right in this area right here. So from studying photos online and looking what other guys are doing, it looks like they're cutting the wheel wells out before they put the subrails in, and they're letting the subrail go on out a little further, which means they're moving the wheel well. So it looks to me like what they're doing is they're cutting the wheel well completely out. They're putting the subrails in without the wheel wells in there. And then they're coming back and putting in flat wheel wells that don't have this hump, which moves the wheel well out right here at the front. And when they move it out, it gives room for that right there to go up against it. So what happens is when they move that outward, that allows the front of the subrail right here to go over to where this will line up with this. So the only problem I'm having is I don't know that I like that idea. I don't like the idea of moving the wheel well outward. I don't like the idea of cutting the wheel wells out now so that I can fit the subrails in when I've already got nothing holding the back of this car together already. Everything's just flopping around. If it wasn't for this bracing, the whole thing would be just falling in. So, I'm doing some head scratching, guys. I gotta figure this out. So will I cut the subrail out right here, put a notch in it, to clear the hump in the wheel well. The same way that the original sub rail is notched right here. Will I put that notch here? Or will I come in here and cut this out to let the sub rail come out a little bit further, the way I see everybody else online doing it? Well, all right guys, to be honest, I don't know which way I'm going to go. There's two options: flat sub rails with flat wheel wells, or notch the sub rails to clear the original style wheel wells. Don't know which way I'm going to go. I'm going to study on it, ponder on it for a while. I think that's the best thing to do because this is a pretty critical moment in the build, so I've got to get my head wrapped around what I'm going to do on this. Next week's Christmas, and I think my wife and my kids and myself have something special planned for you. You're not going to want to miss that. So I'll see you guys in the next one.